Okay, so good afternoon. We are having class now. We're looking at question 5 of the most recent exam. This is for exam that was done. This was in within this year, May 2023, 17th May 2023 exam. Of course, we are going to look at a topic. Okay, and the topic that we are going to look at here is called the shop floor planning and job sequencing. Okay, so the shop floor planning and job sequencing. Okay, is what the topic that we're going to look at. Of course, that question is on question 5, so I need to explain getting down to question 5. Okay. So question 5 is what we're looking at. Now, in the other class, I explained that in shop floor planning, there are 3 considerations. Okay. The first one has to do with sequencing rules. So we have sequencing rules. Of course, I talked about the first one, the first come, first served, the storage processing time, the earliest due date, and the critical ratio. The second part has to do with the changeover cost. Change over cost. And then the last one has to do with the Johnson's rule and the Gantt chart. So Johnson's rule and Gantt chart. So this is what is involved in this topic. It's a very important topic for scheduling of jobs. All right, it's a very important topic for scheduling of jobs. For those who missed the first part, in the first class, we did the first part of shop floor planning, which is this one, on the sequencing rules. Okay, and then we'll be able to still go through. There's no need for you to worry. So today we are going to finish this topic. We'll look at these 2 parts in today's class, which is the changeover cost and Johnson's rule, the Gantt chart. Okay. So we can get down to our changeover cost. So change over cost. So what is it? This is a cost involved, okay, in changing production, cost involved in changing production just okay. So this is of course involved in changing production from one job to another. Okay, from one job to another. All right, but we need to select the smallest possible changeover cost. Okay, an example, the one we need to actually talking about is actually this one. Okay, on the changeover cost. So it's a cost involved in changing production from one job to another. And we usually select the smallest possible changeover cost is what we actually select. All right, so the objective of the firm is to minimize cost. So beside this definition here, we can as well look at this changeover cost involved in changing production from one job to another. And we usually select the smallest possible changeover cost. All right. So you minimize cost in business. Minimize costs. That is the objective of every organization, is to do a cost minimization technique so that you actually know the viability of the organization. So this example, can do this example here on the changeover cost. We can as well as look at another example on it. Okay, once you understand one, most important thing is to understand the concept. You understand the catch of whatever it is that we are looking at. So we can get to this question here. The first part of this question, it has to do with the Gantt chart, which I haven't yet explained, which will be the second one, which I'm going to explain. I've tabulated that the first thing to start with is a changeover cost involved in changing production, so changeover cost. Then we can go to the other one. All right, so as we get down to changeover cost, this question part B was on changeover cost. All right. So part B is on changeover cost. So we can start looking at it. Says a company has received requests to print standard documents. Okay. Standard documents and brochures from its university customers. These being standard jobs, the operations manager has standardized the setup cost. Setup cost is changeover cost. When you come across the term setup cost, changeover cost is the same as it. Changeover simply means setup cost. So change over cost is equal to setup cost. All right, so now the question continues. Each job usually requires a different setup, and these changeovers have different costs. The operation manager must decide the job sequence for the 8 jobs to minimize the changeover cost. That's the objective of every organization is to minimize the cost. All right. So as we look at the even this aspect, we're simply saying that objective is to minimize the changeover cost. That's our objective. All right. Now we get down to this problem. Okay, so we have this changeover, these are changeover cost. So those 10 marks, so it said the table below shows the determined changeover cost between jobs. All right. So we have the job that precede, there's a term preceding. Preceding simply means the starting job. All right, so we have the preceding means the starting job. And of course, we can have the following job that follow. So from here, what is important is that we really need to understand the rationale of what is going on. I have to make mention here that in the changeover cost, check the smallest cost. Check or start with the smallest cost. Since this one has two parts, it can be done in two classes because I don't want people to have a mix-up. Once you understand each of these ones, because this one has three categories in one. The sequencing rules, all right, like I mentioned, the changeover cost and the Johnson's rule and the Gantt chart, the last one. So it's not about just rushing you to finish up the syllabus. It's about you understanding what is going on in changeover cost. So here we can give at least two examples. The list is two examples before you can even go to Johnson's rule. Johnson's rule can be in another class because it is also has its own issues to nurse. All right, so let us get in down to a question. So you check, or start with the smallest cost. If there are two smallest costs, then you're going to have two job sequences. If we have two smallest costs, so two smallest costs, two smallest costs, then we have two job sequences. So if there are three smallest costs, then we have three job sequences. So what I'm saying is, as we go back to the question, let's select the smallest cost from this problem. Which one is the smallest cost? For those who are with me, check in this table. Who can tell me the smallest cost from the table? Excuse me. Are people with me?
Yes, we are.
Oh,
5 looks like the smallest cost.
okay. So which one is the smallest cost? The smallest cost is what?
Me, I'm using a phone. I can't see properly
5.
numbers.
Yeah, I want everyone to see the smallest cost because this question, whether you like it or not, you'll find it. But the what's important for you to understand is the concept. So I will not rush you. For now, we are going just to do changeover cost. I'll give you a question to try on changeover cost, which will come from the pamphlet. That's why I'm encouraging you to go to even buy the pamphlet so that these questions are recycled, they are repeated. So check. You are saying that the smallest cost is 5.
Yes.
So we're going to do just change our course for this class. We'll do this example and the second example. Then I'll give you a question to try from the pamphlet so that you go and try. You try it in your own time. When this question comes, you don't have to lose marks. You need to just understand how to go about it and pass the course. So the smallest cost among all these is 5. But how many 5s do we have? Let me show you. We have a 5 here. Okay. So there is a 5 on that one. Okay, so there's a 5 here. There's also a 5 here. Do we have another 5? The smallest? Do we have another one? Counter check properly. Do we have another 5 here? Hello?
No.
Yeah. So meaning that you are going to have only 2 job sequences. I was from telling you that if the small check for the smallest cost, start with the smallest. Okay, why the smallest? Objective is to minimize cost. Okay. Objective of okay. Objective of every business is to minimize cost. So this is why we are selecting the smallest. All right. So you can see now that we have those 5. So meaning that a predecessor is somebody that was there before you joined the job. Before you started working, there's somebody who was there before you. Is a predecessor. You can be the successor. So what happens here is that I'll sort it out. I'll sort this problem from within here. We're just looking at part B of the question for changeover. Part B came on it, changeover cost. That was part B of this problem, which was on what? Shop floor planning as a topic. So please take note. So now, what are we saying? We have 2 job sequences, all right? So now, should we start with the first sequence? It means that the way you start with this one doesn't matter. Okay, you have selected for the smallest cost of all these costs. That's what we start with because the objective that you have is to minimize costs. So you can start, the way where you start from doesn't matter. You can select arbitrarily. So if we start from C, so C will be the starting job. So when C has started, okay, why? Because the 5 here is in where there is C. Even here, the 5 here is where there is G. So where we start from doesn't matter. So if we start with this 5 here, okay, I want people to participate. Are we together?
Yes, we are following.
So you start with the smallest because you're trying to minimize your expenditure, your costs. So I mentioned that you can start with either a G where there's a 5 year. Okay, a preceding job is a starting job. These are the jobs this side they are following. So meaning if you start with this 5 here, meaning the starting job will be job what? job C. Are we together? Okay. So such a job is job C. And what's the cost is 5. Then what happens? The following job will be job F. Why F? Because why there is 5 here, there is what? There is F. Okay, I'm sure you're getting my point. So I'm starting with this sequence for now, for this one. Then after we exhaust this one, we'll go again for this other one so that we select the sequence which will be able to minimize our cost. So the starting job is job C. It has a 5. 5 while it's 5 is F. Now F was started. Come to F. What is the smallest cost in F here? Smallest cost in F is what? What is the smallest cost in F?
6.
It is 6, yes. I'm happy that you're following. So you go for it. Then the following job will be job what? Job G. You have to check whether 6 there. The following, okay, you have already worked on job F. So you have to know what one follows. So it's G. So come to G. The smallest cost in G is what? G has now started here. G, come to G here, this G. G has now started. So the smallest cost in G is what? What's the smallest cost in G?
It's 5 there. Now we have to use a 5.
So it is 5. So after we put a 5 here, which job can we start working on? Job what?
Job B.
Where the 5 is, so the follower job is job B. So after you go to B, so B has now started. Come to this column for preceding. So B has now started. So meaning that that's what I mean. I don't need to buy it. It is actually getting so yeah. Look what is going on. I've only and then we forget it. Okay, participants are 10. Just only. This is unfair. So 8 minutes remaining. So okay, I'm sure you're following. So B has started. What is the smallest cost in B? In B, the smallest cost is what? Excuse me, what's the smallest cost in B? The smallest cost in B is 9. Not so. Are we together?
Yes.
Pardon? Smallest cost in B is what? 9, right? I don't know if you're following.
We are.
Yeah, so it's 9. So which one do we go for? H. We are worried when people are quiet, please. So H has started. The smallest cost in H is what? Smallest cost in H is what? It is
10.
it is what? 10.
10.
But C has already been worked on. Job C has already been worked on. Check the sequence. So your B would have go to 11. D hasn't yet been worked on. So you go for D instead. Put 11 here and you go for D. Okay. So D. So D, what is happening to D? The smallest cost in D is what? So smallest cost in D, so I think you have understood the concept. In D, the smallest cost is what? Smallest cost in D is 10. B has already been
10.
B has already been worked on. You build up, you go to 12. F has already been worked on because the sequence is here. F has already been worked on. So you build up, you go to 15. G has already been worked on. You build up a little bit. You go to the other one, which is the 20. 24. H has already been worked on. So you just have to go for 24 A. So 20, and then you go for A. Are we together? Then in A, the smallest cost A is here. The smallest cost in A is what? Smallest cost in A is 6. C has already been worked on. You build up 10, H has already been worked on. Build up 12, G has already been worked on. Build up 20. 20 is just for E. 20, then you go to E. Okay, so 20, and then you go to E. So this is how you're finding the sequence here. So in E, the smallest cost in E is what? You start checking. It is 10. A has already been worked on. 11. H has already been worked on. Build up. You go to 20. B has already been worked on. Build up. You go to 24. G has already been worked on. Go back to 27. C has already been worked on. Go back to D. D has already been worked on. So yes, dash. So please, this is how we do the changeover cost for these jobs. Okay. And the reason is just trying by all means to find. So this is the job sequence for the first one, which is if you can see for the changeover cost, question 5. Question 5. So we had the two sequences. The first one was this one, C, F up to E, which was giving us, okay? So meaning this sequence here came from here. We had the C, F, G, B, H, D, A, E. You add all these ones, all right, from the way you started from. You add all these ones, we are getting down to C, F, G, B, H, D, A, which is this one here. C, F, G, B, H, D, A, E. It's actually giving us 76. So it's the optimal sequence. Now, the other one, which we can look at is the first one here. We're going to start with the this one. We're going to start with G. When you start with G, what you're simply saying, G has started. The smaller cost is 5, quite all right. Where do we go? We go to B. Okay, we are now starting with the G this side. So we go to B. B has started. The smallest cost in B is what? Is 9. Okay, so B is 9. You go to which one? H. In H, the smallest cost in H is what? Smallest cost in H is 11. It's actually 10, which is C. 10, you also 10, you go to C. The smallest cost in C is 7. Okay, but B has already been worked on. So in C, okay, in C, you build up a bit. In fact, it was in C, the smallest cost is 5, which is F. To 5, you go to F. Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that this is just the way you look at as we go. So C is 5, you go to F there, the F, you go and select the smallest course in F, which is G, but you have to avoid the job that you have already worked on. So it will tell you, if you have already worked on it, don't go and work for it again because you have already finished that job. So this is why we don't repeat. So in a nutshell, this is the reason why we are looking at it to say between the sequence, the most important thing is for you to understand what goes on, what is going on in changeover cost. So here you have to select the optimal sequence. In this case is the one that gives us the smallest cost. All right. I don't know if the people have gotten one or two things so far. Are we together?
But are we done with the second sequence? I know you are showing the one that's already worked out, but the one that we are doing.
Yeah, the reason why I know we are almost being signed out because I have less than 1 minute, but I think
Oh,
I'm almost signed out because of the time allocation. So that's why I would want you to understand the concept. So from the concept, the job has already been worked on. Don't go to read, just not say, okay, this one has been worked on, so avoid it and pick up the other course, what is happening. I know we can have this class again so that we have more time so that we can do. All right, but I think I've gotten what an idea of what goes on, not so. Excuse me. Yeah, okay, so
Hello.
yes, please.